Cup.
Is enough for Collinwood. Centennial Cup champions in 2024.
Happy New Year, everyone. This is the OJ All Access podcast. I hope you had a happy and healthy holiday season. It's great to be back after taking a couple of weeks off. Shockingly, I did not get sick, which always seems to happen whenever I shut down for a bit around Christmas time, although I will admit to feeling somewhat nauseous while watching the World Juniors this year, but no medication was going to cure that, unfortunately. Anyway, I digress. There's a ton to cover today. Coming up, we've got two guests coming on together who absolutely dominated the OJHL last season. Former Coburg Cougar teammates Andy Reist and Trevor Hoskins, who are now currently teammates at Niagara University playing NCAA hockey. Last season, they combined for 195 points between them with the Cougars. Utterly ridiculous. They will be on in just a few minutes. First, let's get to some news, though, as the latest CJHL rankings are now out. And after losing 2 of their last 3 games, the Golden Hawks have slid down to 4th spot overall. Leamington is now the top OJ team, just 1 spot ahead of Trenton at number 3. Also making the top 20 are the Junior Canadians at number 9 and the Collingwood Blues in 14th. Haliburton County managed to pick up an honorable mention. Let's see how that compares to the OJ Power Rankings, which are determined by a coach's poll. They've got the Flyers as the top dogs right now, with Trenton 1 spot behind. However, they have flipped the Blues and the JRCs, and they have the Huskies slotting in at number 5. So aside from the Blues and JRC switching spots, they seem to be in agreement with the CJHL poll. Milton comes in at number 4. Wellington is number 7. Burlington sits in 8th. Niagara Falls is at 9. And the Stouffville Spirit rounds out your top 10. Speaking of Niagara Falls, they got some bittersweet news recently as leading scorer Parker Forland signed with the St. John Sea Dogs of the QMJHL. Sweet because they're obviously happy for his advancement, but that definitely stings for them in their quest for the Buckland Cup. Good luck with the Sea Dogs, though, Parker. You have earned your shot. Also, the OJHL's top 20-year-old players just finished playing 2 games against U Sports schools, and they look pretty good in the process. It was a great chance for the players to get an idea of the student-athlete experience and test themselves against older competition. The OJ lost both games, but they were tight. It was 2-0 against Toronto Metropolitan University the first day and 2-1 the next day against Ontario Tech. And now I am so happy to be joined by a couple of Coburg Cougars alumni who are enjoying the student-athlete experience. They are now plying their trade south of the border at Niagara University. Trevor Hoskins, Andy Reist, boys, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you?
It's going good, yeah. How are you doing?
Good. I was mentioning off the top of the show, I survived Christmas. I didn't get sick as I usually do. But I actually mentioned the one thing that did make me nauseous was watching the World Juniors this year. Yeah. I don't know about you guys. But what's your take on that, by the way, right off the top? I mean, you saw this go down. What was your take on the team?
Oh, it was – I don't know. Like, I feel like the expectations were pretty high for them, especially after like the previous year losing in the quarters to Czech. But we were pretty invested in watching that. Like, we watched every game here because we've been on campus since Boxing Day, and it was a bit frustrating just because they couldn't score. They had trouble scoring, and then obviously the early exit was a bit unfortunate. But
yeah, have you guys, by the way, played with any of the guys on the team previously through minor hockey, or you must have touched base or crossed paths at some point with some of the guys on the O team? Was that the case, or?
No, I don't think I've ever, like, I know some of the guys. Right. Like, I have a good buddy who plays for the 67, so he knows Pinelli pretty well.
Right.
And then, like, I know Perek didn't make it. He went to the camp, right?
The Calgary.
He was I was a little shocked at that one. That's one of the ones that really blew me away. Yeah.
So that was a little confusing, but
Yeah.
And then I actually, Bo Akey is a year younger than me.
Right.
He was one of the defensemen on Team Canada. So we kind of grew up both playing AAA and Waterloo together, but he was obviously a year younger. But yeah, so I know him a little bit, but other than that, I never really played with any of the guys on the team this year.
Next year's the bounce back year. 2 5th places in a row is just not going to cut it, right?
No.
So, but anyway, you know what? Anytime you put the Maple Leaf on your chest, it's got to be an honor. You guys, I mean, Trevor, I know you did a team with Team Canada East, right? At the World Junior A Challenge. Andy, were you? I'm trying to remember. Were you on Team Canada East?
Yeah, I was as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which has got to be. I mean, anytime you throw it on, it's a great experience, right? So, listen, let's just start off with first of all, did you make it home for the holidays? Because you mentioned you've been there since Boxing Day. Did you make it home for a bit at least?
We had our last weekend in Colorado Springs, and that was the 7th and 8th, I think. And then we got back on the 9th, and I headed home the 9th, and he was headed home the 10th. So pretty good break. We got to see a lot of family, and we came right here after Christmas Day on Boxing Day night. So yeah, we've been here for about a week and a half now. So
it's a bit of a different break than junior because like in the OJ, you're playing right up until like the 22nd, 23rd. And
right.
For us, we were done pretty early, like on the 8th. So we just finished exams that last week. So then we got to go home pretty early, which was like the 10th until the 26th. So we got like 2 weeks and a bit off, which was nice to kind of regroup, reset for the second half because it's a grind. It's a battle out here, but it's really fun.
For sure, it's going to be a grind. So we'll get to the Niagara stuff in a second because you guys are both down there with the Niagara Purple Eagles. Let's start with the OJ time, though, because you both played 3 seasons with the Cougars, right, in Cobourg. And I want to know, first of all, how did you both end up with the Cougars? First of all, did you guys know each other before you got to the Cougars?
No, we didn't meet until we both ended up signing in Cobourg. But so for me, I was 17, and then the summer before that season started, I ended up signing with the Cougars. I didn't really know too many guys going into it, but my advisor was pretty close with the GM at the time, so it ended up working out where I could go to Cobourg and play there as long as like I didn't make the OHL, and we'll talk about that a bit later. But so it ended up working out really well in Cobourg. But it kind of just worked out through my advisor picking the place for me, and I couldn't have been happier with the choice. So
Trevor?
For me, it was I was a really late bloomer. Like I came out of AAA, and then obviously we had COVID, and then came out of it. And I was talking to a few teams. I was talking to like Trenton and Wellington, just because I was closer to me. So I was thinking like kind of leaning towards I was going to go there and try and crack the team. And then I just ended up going to Cobourg. I got a call from the GM at the time, and he told me to come out and give it my best shot. I had no guarantees going in. And which is crazy for me to look back on from where I am now. I just went there, and we actually joke because I remember going on the ice like towards the start of the year, and I hadn't been signed yet. And as a young kid trying to make a team, you're asking have you signed? And I asked him if he signed, and he's like, yeah, I signed. And we always joke about that because that's like the first interaction we ever had, and like we're really close now. So and then I think I signed maybe 4 or 5 days before the season started. And that was my first year. And our team in our first year we were okay. Like we weren't crazy. So I think for us, the opportunity was kind of open. And, if we were playing to a high standard or high enough standard, we'd get that opportunity, where on some other high end team, you might not get that. And I think as the year went on, I mean, he had a really good playoff in our 17 year. And we kind of just knew the next year, like we had a lot of guys moving on, and that 18-year-old year for us would be our year to kind of take off and try and make a name for ourselves. And I think we did that starting there.
You both definitely did. Let's just do a generic question here first. What was it like for you guys playing for the Cougars? Like the overall experience. Obviously, it was instrumental to you furthering your hockey career, but How did you enjoy the town? How did you enjoy the organization, just the experience overall?
Yeah, honestly, like I couldn't have asked for much more from Coburg and everything that it brought. I think, like Trevor said, we kind of went through progressions. Like our first year, we were kind of just like understanding junior hockey and learning from some older guys, and then we definitely developed a lot that year. And then that second year, we kind of took off, and it was almost like a breakout year for us. And then the third year, it was kind of like, yeah, like let's do this. We can lead this team to a championship run, and we kind of did that. But yeah, so like honestly, the town itself was awesome. We had a great group of billets who were all really close, and they made it easy for us. And yeah, like I said, couldn't have asked for much more. But also, like there were some neat experiences that came from playing in the OJ. Like you said earlier, we were able to represent Team Canada East.
Yep.
And like that's something we'll remember forever. Just throwing on that Team Canada crest. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't play in the OJHL. But yeah, obviously, like I think there was just constant progression through each year. And it was really fun to develop with a guy like him who was such a good player and pushed me to be better. And yeah, so it was a great experience overall.
Well, sorry, you were going to say, Trevor, or?
No, go ahead. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say everything clicked last year, obviously. You two, it's fair to say you were one of the best 1-2 combinations the league has ever seen. Between you had 195 points. Trevor, you had 100. You won the league scoring title. Andy, third, I believe you finished with 95 points. Just an insane 1-2 punch. Talk about that chemistry, because now I'm trying to remember, were you guys paired together? How much were you guys paired together leading into that final season? Was it a combination that really clicked that final season, or?
I think so. When we were 17, taking it back a little bit, we ended up playing together for probably like, I'd say 8 to 10 games. And like, I don't know, like how he feels about it, but how I felt was we kind of just felt the connection right away. Like I was more of a guy who's going to like try and create and a playmaker. And he obviously, is known for a shot and getting to those areas where he can get open to shoot and find those spots, which he's really good at. So we scored a couple goals together, and, we were both young, and we ended up being like, I don't know, there weren't many rookies on that team. A lot of them got traded, and we hung out a lot in our 17 year just because we were the same age and going through the same thing. And and then our second year came around, and we ended up on the same line. Like we had a new coach that year, and he called us and said, you guys are going to play together. And it just like same things, getting to those areas to score. We were on the power play together. And as soon as we kind of started racking up points and playing good together all over the ice, we were like, yeah, we can really do this. And like being good friends off the ice, like best friends when we were in Coburg. And I think that's a huge part of it, having a connection off the ice.
Comfort level, yeah.
If he messes something up, I can look at him and say, hey, like we got to figure that out. And you're not getting mad at each other where that would split other people up. We were really comforting for each other, and we supported each other in a high manner. I think that really helped us with our success.
So not only did you guys put up the points last year, but you led the team to a great playoff run. I think that a lot of people didn't expect, maybe because I think you guys went in as the 6th seed, were you, when you went in? But was it 6th?
I think we were 5th, and Haliburton was 4th.
Yeah. Haliburton was 4th. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong on that, but I'm right on this. You ended up knocking off 2 higher seeds, though. You knocked off Haliburton. You knocked off St. Mike's, who was the 2nd seed. Sort of bring up a sore spot, but of all the teams to have to lose to in the conference final, you did drop it to Trenton, who went on. But I don't know if it warmed your heart to see them lose to Collingwood in the final, if it's that much of a vicious rivalry or not. It's like pick your poison, right? But talk about the playoff run last year and just the team that you guys had overall, because overall it was a great performance by the Cougars.
Yeah, I mean, that playoff run was some of the most fun we've had playing hockey. Just so we started against Haliburton. We were obviously on the road to start. We knew it was going to be a tough series because they played so physical and they were always tough to play against. But we ended up dropping the first game, I think, in overtime. And then we kind of had to reset. It was obviously frustrating losing that one, but then we ended up stringing 4 wins together and playing some really good hockey. Obviously, Hoskins was leading us there because I actually was dealing with a bit of an injury that series. So Hoskins kind of threw us on his back and kind of took over that series, which was unbelievable to watch. And then we ended up playing St. Mike's in round 2, and that series was another bloodbath. Like, it ended up going 7 games, and playing in their rink, it's a tight rink, so like it was very physical all series, and it was really cool to win that game, that 7th game in their rink. And then you can keep going with that.
Yeah, we obviously met Trenton, and it's they're a really good team. We knew that, and they had 2 really fast series. Like, they were waiting for us, and I remember, I think, because we get Instat all the time, and we had a back-to-back against St. Mike's, and we both played. It went to overtime, and I think we were both playing north of 35 minutes. And I think when we got to Trenton, it was kind of just it was tough, like to go to that arena and play them, and they had a checking line on us, and then we ended up splitting up, and I was playing center on the second line. And it was just, we were trying all sorts of things, but I think they had such a good team. Their depth really took a toll. But I think, like, the playoff run it's something I'll never forget. Like, I remember being nervous because, like, we loved our time in Coburg so much, and we didn't want to lose out. Like, you want to stay there as long as you can. And I remember we lost game 1, and, like, I was on the bench beside him, and he, like, as soon as we lost, he just got off and started skating off. And, like, he didn't even say anything, but it was just like, let's just turn the page.
Disappointment.
It was just if they scored, we're not going to sit here and watch it. And he just got off and let us off. And as soon as that happened, we kind of took off. And yeah, just the Trent series kind of stings a little bit. We got a few buddies on that team, a few enemies on that team. But I think we gave them a good run. And I think what we did kind of slowed them down and gave Collingwood a better chance, because we really, like, hit them, and we were physical and got in their faces. I think we did a really good job, even though we didn't come out on top.
It's always a battle against Trenton, isn't it? It just is, yeah. And they're just such a year in, year out. They're such a tough organization to play. This is just a quick comment here, but just to go back to that year for 1 second, because I've already had a teammate of yours last year on the show. This year, Jonathan Kapajaritas, who's been listed for as a player to watch for this year's draft. He came in as an AP last year, and I think he was a point per game in the playoffs as a 16-year-old defenseman. Yeah. What did you guys see from Jonathan? I mean, were you shocked by how well he performed in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, I think he practiced with us a few times. And, high-end skill guy where you knew he could create stuff for us, where other guys were more defensive. We had a really defensive group. And I remember he came in, and they weren't sure to play him in what situations, kind of. And I remember I was talking with the coaching staff, and I kind of recommended, I was like, we should give this guy a shot. Like, this guy's got something that we might not have, and that might help us really, like, push this series, every series further, and give us a chance to win. And I really remember the St. Mike series. He was really good. Like, he really brought that offensive gift that he has, and he scored a lot of goals that we needed. And the specific one was game 6. We were down 3-1, and he scored the second goal to make it 3-2, and that kind of got us going. But he's hands down probably the most skilled defenseman I've ever played with. Wow. Just the way he sees the ice, the way his feet move, and in the vision. Like, I mean, for both of us, like, we watch him and we're like, yeah, like, when you see someone who would make the same play you would make, and you consistently see that, you're like, this guy can really make some noise. And I mean, he's super young, and the sky's the limit. He's having a great year again this year. He went to Team Canada East, and yeah, I talked to him here and there, and because he billets where I used to billet. So I've seen him a couple times when I go over to visit, and just kind of keeping him on his toes, like keeping him going. And any advice?
He signed. Was it Vermont?
Yeah,
he's Vermont. Great. I mean, really good for him, obviously, right? And we're gonna see, because I know Sarnia is after him. I still don't know if he's signed with Sarnia yet. I haven't seen anything on it. Have you guys heard?
I think he's gonna play this year out in Coburg.
But for next year, do you know what? If he has or not?
I haven't heard anything yet.
He stayed coy about that when I asked him about that. He's still, yeah, we're talking. And this was after the regulations, which we're going to get into in a second, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but no, great to hear your perspective on him. And Trevor, you ended up getting drafted last year yourself. So you took that step. Hopefully he hears his name called this year, but that happened to you last year. 4th round by the Flames. You were not there at the draft, but you were telling me just before we signed on here, folks, about finding out that you were drafted. So just tell us about that. And because it wasn't unexpected, but you got drafted a little bit higher than you thought you were going to, I think you were saying. So how did you find out? What was the experience like?
Yeah. So leading up to the draft, obviously most guys have an agent, and he was kind of just telling me that, you could have a real chance to be picked. And just every playoff series and game, he just said, keep going and keep playing your game and believe in yourself. And I think that's kind of what I did. And then obviously we had a couple months off before the draft, so it was a long wait, and I was really looking forward to it, to see how it would go. And I was talking to a few teams, but Calgary was the team that really caught my eye and I really liked, and they were always like on me and talking to me and being so supportive throughout the season. And I ended up meeting with them on the way to Collingwood for the awards, and just had a really good interview with them. And I had high hopes, and then the draft came, and I was just sitting there with my dad and my cousin, my 2 cousins, and I was kind of just, honestly, I was on my phone just texting my mom a little bit, and my dad just kind of jumped out of his seat, and he's like, just like saying random words. I can't really remember exactly what he said. He was so excited, and I looked up and I just saw my name beside Calgary, and I was just ecstatic. I was
phenomenal,
kind of running around, and everyone was so happy for me. And it's been a long process. Like I was really late bloomer, and just to have my name picked that late, and I was 19, and it was really cool. Like it was so cool, and just kind of shows me, and I hope it can show other people that it's never too late. Like you can do anything. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. And like it was your 3rd year of draft eligibility, which is rare in itself. And it was out of it was at a junior A. It wasn't at a major junior as well. Yeah. So, I mean, it was no question about it. I mean, that's a phenomenal accomplishment.
Yeah.
And you talked about being a late bloomer. So let's get both you guys, because this ties into eligibility and all kinds of things here, but why did you choose the OJHL then? Was the OHL originally, you both had a chance to go to the OHL. That was sort of the original thought process behind what you guys wanted to do, the OHL, for obvious reasons. It's the top developmental league in the world. It's major junior. But how much did the NCAA eligibility play into that for you, considering if you would have signed back then, even a year ago, you wouldn't have been able to, at the time, from what you thought, go and play NCAA hockey afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty controversial topic, but I mean, we were both drafted to the OHL. I was drafted to London. He was drafted to Owen Sound. And that 17-year-old season, we both went to training camps. And like, obviously growing up, you watch the OHL. Like, I'm from Waterloo, so I always watch the Rangers and Kitchener. So you kind of look up to that and like pretend like, or you want to play in that league one day. And then
when you got drafted by the absolute, I mean, not to denigrate other franchises, exactly. That's not what I'm trying to do, but the Knights are the Knights, right? They're the most legendary team in probably all of junior hockey at the moment, and have been for about 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
They are a prestigious organization, and
going
to that camp, it was super professional, and they ran it like an NHL team. So it was pretty cool to experience that. But like, obviously we both didn't end up making our OHL teams that year. So we went to Coburg and ended up playing there for 3 years. But if it is a good question, like if the rules switched, whether we would have gone, like if it would have switched earlier, whether we would have gone to the OHL.
Right.
I have thought about that a little bit. I mean, there's 2 sides to it. Like playing in the OJHL, we both played a ton and like developed a lot by playing a lot. If we would have went to the OHL, it would have been a bit different. Like obviously the development is great, like you said, one of the best development leagues in the world. But I still don't have a decision. I'm not sure he does either, whether we would have gone. But maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Like you never know, because I think the OJ is a really good spot like for development and opportunity. So that's what really helped us, like the opportunity. We got to play a ton, and that's what helped us develop and build the confidence in what we are today. I think like that final year in Coburg, like you look at it, we both had a really good year and helped each other a lot, and you kind of wonder whether, how would we have done in the OHL? That's always a question. And if we decided to go at the start of that year, personally, I wouldn't have changed my route at all. I think everything happens for a reason, and we were both in the situation we were, and now we're here for a reason, and we're at that level now. And I think I'm proud of the way we both did it, and we both took the long route. And I think that we did it the true way. So I think that I wouldn't have changed anything personally.
But it's a story that we've heard so many times about guys who were later bloomers, who would have got lost in the shuffle on OHL teams. And, what used to be, I think what the worst thing was if you were before the eligibility rules changed, if you were just a call up, like going up and down, and you go and play a couple of games and all of a sudden your eligibility's gone.
Yeah.
Right. So, but the fact that you guys got to get so much ice time with a really good organization and play strong competition and play in the Dub Jack, it increased your exposure. And it's great that that's your take on things. It's really interesting to hear, because so much is in flux right now, and this is a big question that everyone's asking. Even when I talk to the guys in the league I've had on the show, Rick Morocco and Chris Vanstone and Marty Savoy, everyone's waiting to see kind of what exactly is going to happen now that players can play both major junior and NCAA. And Andy, I think you said it's a controversial question. What is your take on this then? Like just the new regulations in general? I mean, mine that I've been saying over and over again is that the number one thing is that this should be for the players, and it should be whatever gives them the most options. To me, I'm good with. Like, to me, that's super important. What is your take on this and what it's going to do for players just having so many more options now?
Yeah, it is tough to say right now, like you said, but I mean, I do think the NCAA gets stronger from this, because there's more guys coming in from major junior who wouldn't have had that opportunity if the rule hadn't changed. But yeah, like I do wonder like what's in store for like the junior A programs that aren't major junior. I hope they continue to have the success that they do, like the OJ has, but I do wonder like how this might affect that. But honestly, like Trevor said earlier, like you can look at it two ways. Like you could be a top guy playing a ton of minutes in the OJHL and developing a ton, or you could be a guy that's in and out of the lineup in the OHL and probably not developing the way you could if you were to stay in a junior A league like the OJ. So it's interesting to think about for sure. And I am curious to kind of see how it all plays out, because obviously it's so fresh right now, but yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents on that topic.
Trevor, you got a take on it, or?
Yeah, I think like it's a tough decision. I think if you think you're good enough to play at the OHL level to develop over the course of those years into NCAA, and you think you're ready for that, then I'd say, yeah, go ahead if that's what you think. But if you think you're going to go there and be in and out of the lineup, and it's okay to be 17 and not be ready for that, because the NCAA is for the later guys. Like now we're here, and like we just took the longer route, and I think that's okay. Like if you want to play at a lower level and develop and get more minutes, and maybe the next year after that you go up. But I think, I don't know, it's a tough decision. I think, like I said, I wouldn't have changed it the way I did it, or maybe I would have. I'm not, you never know. But I think one thing it does is some OHL guys who maybe didn't play as much as they wanted to, or didn't get the ice they wanted to, or didn't think it was everything they wanted it to be, they usually go like CIS, Canadian schools, And I think this gives them an opportunity to have how many Division I schools there are. There's tons.
Yeah.
For one of them to come and just look at that person and say, we want to give him a chance. And maybe they didn't get that chance before to move on to pro. Because after OHL, everyone just thought it was pro. You had to go. Or you're going to Canadian school. So I think for the guys that didn't think it was what it was, that now they have NCAA schools coming to look at them, and they might get a chance to continue at that level. And I think that opens up a lot of doors for some guys in the OHL for sure.
Yeah.
And like Andy said, the strength of both those leagues are going to be very good now because they have more guys coming there.
I think one advantage for leagues like the OJHL is going to be OHL teams putting younger players in the league, elite players that maybe aren't quite ready in their first year for, like we see a guy like Ryder Cali this year. I don't know if you've been paying. I don't know if you guys have been watching it all, but Ryder Cali is a first-round draft pick of the Sioux Greyhounds. They just traded his rights to North Bay at the beginning of the season because they weren't sure what was going on with him. He's committed to Harvard,
Right.
and once the regulations got switched, North Bay had picked up his rights. So Cali is going to. I think he's going to play some games, but he's committed to Milton for the year.
Yeah.
But how would he have done with the full season in the OHL in the first year? We're not entirely sure. But I think that's what you're going to see a bit of is really, really good players that will spend a 16-year-old year, for example, in the OJHL to get some seasoning.
Yeah.
And the O teams will then put them into the lineup when they feel they're ready for it. So I think you could see an influx of really like truly high-end talent, potential first rounders even in the NHL draft that may spend some time in the OJHL as well to start off with.
Yeah, I can definitely see kind of like almost like AHL farm teams for NHL teams. Just the proximity that the OJ has to the OHL. I think you could see like some OJHL teams being like feeder teams for those OHL teams. And like you said, there will be a lot of high-skilled younger guys probably that might not be fully ready or fully developed, and they can get a little extra ice time at the OJHL level. So I can definitely see that moving forward.
It's a fascinating discussion, guys, and I mean, you guys are living the experience right now, so it's really interesting talking to you about the path that you took. And let's get to now where you are is you are Niagara Purple Eagles. The experience so far for you guys, being down there. I know you mentioned you swept Bentley the last 2 games you played. How are you enjoying the NCAA experience overall?
It's been really fun so far. We both, so obviously we both are freshmen this year, and coming in, we didn't really know what to expect. But like I said earlier, like the older guys we have and the captains that we have on this team have been so welcoming and have made the transition so easy for us, as well as the coaches. The coaches have been great with our development and pushing us to be better every day. And the other thing that's kind of nice about Niagara for us is that it's pretty close to home. Like
close to home.
For me, it's under 2 hours, and him, it's not much more than that. So that's been nice. But yeah, like the hockey, it's definitely a step up. Obviously, it's faster, heavier, but like that's expected playing with guys that are like 23, 24, 25.
Yeah.
So,
I was saying that to you before. I think the leading scorer in your team is 24. And the guy who's in second is 23. I apologize if I'm not using their names. You know their names. Yeah. But I was just quickly looking at the stats on the team. And Trevor, yourself as well, you're enjoying it down there?
Yeah, I mean, just like Andy said, like coming in, and I think it starts in the summer when he's been committed a bit longer than me here. But right when our season ended, their perspective shifted on us, and they were calling, I don't know how many calls you got, but they were calling me tons during the summer and just being so supportive. And I think they do that with everyone, with kind of who I've talked to, and they're just so supportive as I was coming in. And like he said, the captains were so good with us coming in and all the support. And I mean, we both love it here. We're getting opportunity and we're learning a lot on and off the ice, and we've become better players and people so far. And it's just exciting to be in this situation we're in.
What advice would you guys give to players who are looking to take that next jump to NCAA hockey. Just as a preparation, what can they do? What should they do? Obviously, even players that are looking to sign or players that have signed, if there's any advice that you could give as to before they take that next step, what they should ready themselves for.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing that every young player should understand is that it's a process. Like, you're not going to develop you're not going to change everything in one day. Like, it takes time. And you got to understand that, honestly, a quote that I like is process over outcome. Like, it does take time, but if you just enjoy the things every day and work at your skills every day on the ice, off the ice, have a strong mentality, I think it goes a long way. So I think just understanding that, you got to kind of trust the process and
Right.
not look too clearly at the outcome or the end goal. Just live it day by day, live in the moment, and then good things will follow. So
Right.
I think we've lived the same thing, just kind of the late bloomer and, just always believing in yourself. That's what, I've talked to Jonathan a lot, like we just kind of talked about, and it's just like, have that belief in you. And I think the best thing you can do as a person, a player, is put yourself in the best position every single day to be successful. Like do the extra stuff, work out, and just stay in a positive mindset. And I think the biggest thing for me, again, was the belief, and just don't worry about anybody else. Like, maybe someone your age is putting up a ton of stats and they're moving a bit quicker than you are, but there's never a length of however long it is that you need to get there. So I think it's just believing in yourself and putting yourself in the best spots every day to be successful.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off that just a little bit, is a thing our coach preaches here is it's at the end of the day, it's you versus you. Like, it is easy to compare yourself to other guys around you, but if you just kind of think of it, it's a battle between you and yourself, and just getting yourself a little bit better every day. I think that also goes a long way. So.
Actually, just before I let you go, Trevor, what happens now with Calgary, by the way? Like, have they stayed in touch with you? Will you go to a summer camp or something this year with them, or what happens?
Yeah, so they have a camp in July, like this coming year. I'm not sure the exact dates right now, but it'll be at that time. And they've had a guy reach out to me a lot. He's come to quite a few of the games, and maybe it's been different guys too that have come and just watched. And they're really good. They're really supportive, and they've texted me a lot, and just we've done some video. So it's just an extra source, and they're really taking their time with me, and they've made really good effort, and I couldn't be more appreciative of it. And just say keep going and keep working. We'll see what happens.
This is the great part about being at Niagara. And I think it flies under the radar a little bit for some fans. They don't think about this, is you are right in the middle of the biggest scouted hockey community on the planet, right? You're right over the border from Southern Ontario, which is where all the NHL scouts are, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it's so easy for them to make the trip. And Andy, then you get with Trevor's visibility, it's good for you as well, and your teammates too, right? I mean, you're under the eye of NHL scouts as well. So there's a spin-off effect there as well. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Guys, I know you got to get back to studying and all that fun stuff. And are you hitting the ice today?
We actually already had a workout and hit the ice this morning. So
okay. Yeah. Really appreciate you guys taking the time. It was so much fun watching you in the in the OJHL the past 3 seasons, and watching your exploits last year. Like I said, one of the best 1-2 punches the league has ever seen. You guys were just fantastic, and some really great advice for young players as well to follow.
Thank you.
As you guys blaze your own path. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll do this again another time. Stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that is going to wrap it up for today. Huge thanks, of course, to Trevor and Andy for coming on the show, and thank you for tuning in. It's great to be back. Just remember, you can stay up to date with everything that's going on in the OJ all throughout the season by checking out the league's official social media outlets. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week.